Welcome, everyone, to La Jolla Cosmetic Surgery Centre podcast. I'm your hostess, Monique Ramsey, and today I have Dr. Hector Salazar with me, and we're going to talk about a brand new program. So here at La Jolla Cosmetic, we know your journey is really personal and every step matters throughout that journey. And so we have come up with two paths for your surgical experience, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So the Signature Experience, which is what we're known for 36 years in our 5-star care, that's our signature experience. But we also know that some people might want a different, maybe more elevated experience. So we're calling it the Concierge Package. And so think of it in a way like business class and first class. Like we're never coach here at Jolla Cosmetic. We are, it's going to be an amazing experience. You're going to get to your destination. But then, if you want more than business class, you can have first class. And so always a cut above. And no matter what you choose, our award-winning care and commitment to your well-being and your journey remain the same. So Dr. Salazar, welcome.
Thanks so much, Monique. And I'm very, very excited about our conversation today because we normally talk about safety, we talk about different techniques, but now we're going to be talking about the fact that patients can actually go from point A to point B in a much more elevated experience. And I think that we are at La Jolla Cosmetic, all the team, all the physicians, all the nurses, everybody, all the staff, we're very, very excited because we are good at providing amazing experiences for our patients. And as we are preparing for the launch of these new experiences, we were all very excited. Patients are going to be even happier than what they already are.
Well, and you're known, and I think all of our doctors are, but anybody who's met you or had surgery with you knows how dedicated you are to that, hand holding and support every step of the way. And that's not going to change at all. But, sometimes we want to have a little more plush experience. So that VIP level care. And so you can heal in absolute comfort and confidence. And so let's talk about first that signature LJCSC experience, the 5-star care that we've been giving for 36 years. And that's not going to change. And so tell me, Dr. Salazar, what's special about the care we provide and the added value that you get just by choosing La Jolla Cosmetic without even having to pay for an elevated experience?
Well, I mean, what you have is the backup of 36 years of the practice experience, right? As a group, we have been continuously providing plastic surgery, cosmetic services to our patients for 36 years. In terms of, we like to break it into 3 different aspects. And I'm going to be using the material that we have to share with you and with your audience. Like, for instance, the medical expertise and care. So if we start just by saying that when you come to La Jolla Cosmetic, we dedicate all the time that we need to dedicate until we know and understand what the goals of the patient is, what those goals are. And I feel that spending time, quality time with patients is really, really important. So the goals and the services that we're providing are well lined up. So with us, with our signature experience, all patients, they have a 1-hour medical doctor, 1-hour plastic surgeon consultation. Then after that happens, and if it needs to be extended, you know how it is, Monique, sometimes we spend even more time with our patients, but at least, and it's important for patients also to block enough time because we're going to be having that nice conversation for a long time. So all patients get that. All patients also have a pre-op appointment with a nurse after that first visit. So if there are still any questions, things can be answered during that office visit. Also, they're going to learn how to nest and how to prepare for their surgery. So that's a 1-hour pre-op appointment with a nurse. Then their care in preparation for surgery, it's individualized. So some patients will need some labs and that's included. Some patients might need an EKG and that's also included. So it's a one-stop for them So they are preparing for their surgery. We're not sending them here and there to go and get different things. Then as we follow them up, then we follow them for 6 months after their surgery. I mean, you know that the standard for surgical follow-up, it's 3 months. So we normally by default give them double the amount of time for like unlimited visits without having any charge. And at that point, at 6 months, sometimes a little tweak needs to be done. It's not that common, but sometimes a little portion of the scar can be revised or can be improved, and we have that revision policy that's included with their surgery, in which the patients might need to just pay for the materials, or if that involves an anesthesiologist, that needs to happen. But basically, that revision policy, it's good for 6 months. Then the other division is the technology and access. So patients have access to like an educational video library. They have access to all of the materials that we have online. They also have access to TouchMD. And TouchMD, they're going to be able to see their before and after pictures. They can actually also see some of the before and after pictures of some patients that have consented for their before and after surgery to be shown to other potential patients. And it gets even better. Patients that are undergoing like a rhinoplasty, or patients that are undergoing breast augmentation, they can see a simulated result of their surgery. And all of these things, as you know, Monique, they're instruments for us to better communicate with patients. But all that, as you know, it represents a large investment for our practice to have all that technology available and current. And we give it to all of our signature patients for them to be better prepared for their surgery. Now, the third division is where the comfort and recovery comes in. So, comfort and recovery, all the patients, as I was mentioning to you, they're going to be coming to one location, everything except for medications that they can get them at their pharmacy of preference. But they're going to be one stop place for everything, even their post-surgical garments. We get them for our patients. We always provide up to 2 garments per surgery that they're having. They also have the before and after, the pre and post ALASTIN skincare, which is top of the line. And all of our patients have been getting that and will continue to get that package. And that improves their recovery tremendously. They become part of the family. So they have 1 year Glam Fam. They have access to our program, and you're an expert on that as you're one of the founders on that program. So patients are, I mean, that's exciting because those are good news for them, as they can have access to surgery at a lower cost. They can also visit our different med spas and also be pampered there. So this is our signature. That's who we are. All that, and depending, of course, on different surgeries, different things. I mean, if you talk about facial surgery versus breast versus body versus other like liposuction, et cetera, they're all the different surgeries will have like little tweaks here and there. But it's really exciting to actually put on paper what is our secret sauce. What are the ingredients that we use, and that's who we are.
Well, and I think, to your point of what we've been doing for 36 years. So I just literally right this second pulled up the website because it gets updated daily on the homepage of how many reviews we have, 5-star reviews. You see them, you read them, like there was one from 2 days ago and about Dr. Riedler. And you can see, so we have 6,218 verified plastic surgery patient reviews, and at a 96% patient satisfaction, 4.8 out of 5 stars. So, and that's without ever having, this elevated experience we're going to go into. So as of today, we've had 5,100, almost 5,200 5-star reviews. So I think that's really, just our signature, or the bread and butter, or the secret sauce, just like you're saying, of who we are, and that's not going to change. So
yeah, that's our branded
it's our
care.
brand,
I would say it's our
right?
brand.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So now we're going to dive into the concierge experience. And I think everybody thinks about the concierge at the hotel and is going to give them, access to some secret, like amazing restaurant or a wonderful, day trip excursion. So same idea here is that we're going to, bump it up a little bit. And so let's talk about what's included in that and what might change depending on your procedure. Because obviously a rhinoplasty or a chin implant's going to be different than a mommy makeover, might be different than, a tummy tuck. So let's dive into that and tell us a little bit about some of the highlights of that VIP concierge experience.
Perfect. And I also, just to give you here a little disclosure here, are not going to ruin some of the surprises that we will have for our patients, because there are some
No.
surprises included. But in general, for those that they want to be pampered in a higher way, for those who want to include and boost their care in a really, really nice way, we're going to have that option. And we like to break it as well into, let's do three different areas. So VIP convenience. Patients that sign up for this program, they will have direct access to the cell phone of their plastic surgeon. So that immediately your patients, they're always welcome to contact our office, our nursing staff, our physicians through the answering service. And that's how we've been doing it throughout the years. But in this package, patients will have that direct access. You can text, you can send a picture directly to your plastic surgeon. Also, as you know, because as you're planning for your surgery, it's not easy for patients in terms of, you have to block some days. You have to have even some patients that are traveling from out of town, or you live here in San Diego, but you want your sister to come and help you. So scheduling your surgery, if you are part of the concierge experience, you're going to have a preferred scheduling. I mean, this wouldn't be a VIP experience, and if we wouldn't provide parking for you. And as a matter of fact, not only parking, would be providing a valet parking. So you just, as you know, we're like, when you drive in to that cul-de-sac that's in front of our office, literally for those patients that are considering becoming part of the family, we're on the first floor, very, very convenient. Patients will drop their car at the valet parking, literally walk through the doors of the building, and then open the door of La Jolla Cosmetic, and we're going to be waiting for them right there. So, and in addition to that, we have the option for a private entrance on post-op day one for those patients. Different area, comfort and recovery. So we will have those. What we are going to do is, for those patients, we will start with a jumpstart recovery. So while they're recovering and basically waking up from surgery, they are getting like a vitamin infusion through their IV. Also, all of our patients will get a 7-day supplement of Juven, which is an oral form of a nutrition supplement, again oriented for better recovery. And then, as we want patients to heal faster, another way to boost your experience, to decrease the amount of swelling and to basically expedite your overall healing process, is lymphatic massage. So we're going to include 4 lymphatic massages for the patients that opt for our concierge route. In terms of the medical expertise and extended care, as you know, we are, with our signature package, we're at 6 months. And with our concierge package, we are extending this up to a year. So you don't have to pay for any of your additional visits. Then, after that year, for certain surgeries, for instance, if you had breast implants placed or a breast lift with an implant, the recommendation is to follow up with your plastic surgeon on a yearly basis. And so, what we will do for those patients is that in a period of 5 years, they can come back for that yearly basis visit. And we will also include something that has a lot of value. And this is, the FDA recommends that you either get an MRI or a high definition ultrasound 3 years after your breast implants have been placed. Make sure that they're intact. So in that case, what we are doing for this patient is we are including in a 5-year period 3 breast ultrasounds without any charge. So basically, for the first 5 years, they're going to be like, they're going to have peace of mind that their implants are well watched and they don't have to be worried at all. Peace of mind for full 5 years. And now, what other things we can do? Well, we have a scar minimization program in which if patients need for their scars some injections, as you know, there are sometimes if the scar becomes a little bit hypertrophic or keloidal, a little aggressive or exuberant scar, you require some injections of Kenalog, some injections of 5-FU, depending on the nature and the timing. And those injections are around $150 per injection. So if you need 2 or 3 sessions, then you can start doing the math. And of course, with the Concierge Experience, all of those injections will be included for the first year. And then the revision policy that we talked about, now that we're talking about scars, if some of those scars need to be tweaked or they need to be improved, then you have up to 12 months in case anything needs to be corrected. And it's also going to be included. So as you can see, it's not only about the experience per se, because the experience is going to be beyond. It's going to be fantastic. You'll see, when patients come in the day of surgery, they're going to feel that first class experience. They're going to feel that concierge service that we provide. But also it's about you're boosting your care for a longer time. And not only that, having, in certain cases, certain surgeries, a peace of mind for a certain period of time. And all that, can only make our patients happier.
Yeah, I think for the people who are, if you're a worrier, because we all know one, even if you're not one, but we all know a worrier. And sometimes it's just that extra peace of mind. It was like, did you buy the flight insurance? Because what might happen, what might go wrong, and you add on that little extra bit so that if something out of your control goes wrong, you've got that insurance. So that peace of mind. And I think people can relate to that. All the comfort parts are and the pampering parts are great. But, if you're worried, you've got the surgeon's cell phone number. If you're worried about, wanting to have more visits for a longer period of time, you've got that. And I love the fact that for the patients who want, the lymphatic drainage to help their body sort of jump. It kind of does jumpstart. You can do them ahead, but you do them afterwards. They're really, you feel so much better when you've had one. You really, it's a wonderful thing. And so, and tell us about some of the things that people, let's say a patient decides she's not going to do the concierge experience, but maybe she has a special request about having surgery on a weekend, or tell me a little bit about some of the upgrades people can do.
Well, patients can opt for a doctor's visit at home on the first day after surgery, or if they're staying at a hotel, they can opt in for that option. It'll have an extra cost, which is understandable, but patients will have the comfort that they don't have to drive, that they don't have to leave their houses. This is separate from the concierge experience. If you opt for the concierge experience, you can still add this on, or if you did not, you can still add this on and have that first post-op day surgery 1 visit at home. Of course, we establish a radius of action when patients, what they can do is when they talk to our coordinators, they can see if they qualify for that radius which is taken into account from our office, and to make sure that it's doable, because we couldn't promise a post-op day 1 visit in Temecula or Phoenix or Yuma. Exactly. So, but it's something that they can explore with their coordinator. And then another one is considering having surgery on a Saturday or even on a Sunday. So I think we're very excited about this option as well, because I think many patients we expect to opt for one of these new services that we're offering or options that we're offering, because it's very convenient for patients to not to have to miss like a work day if they're going to be missing already the rest of the following week because they're out and they just want to accommodate on a Saturday. They can do that absolutely. Sunday, a little bit the same way. The patients sometimes need to travel or need to have a surgery. Like, let's say I have 15 days for recovering, and I need to go back to work at a certain day. Well, Sunday could be a good option.
Yeah. And now I know doctors don't like to talk about prices, but I'm going to ask you anyway. So if somebody decides to add the concierge package onto their quote, how much does it increase the overall quote? And I know it probably depends on procedure, right? But
Correct. No, that's a good question. And I think, I mean, in modern times, I feel that, I mean, economics are very important. I mean, if we wanted to offer all this boosts and perks and services in a way that patients can actually see the advantage and be able to do it, to pull the trigger. So if you can compare, just for us to compare to a different industry, if you are going and you're staying at a hotel, let's say a luxurious hotel, and you want to go from the regular room to the suite, then your price is almost doubling up. If you're flying and you go from coach to business class, better be ready to pay 200% or more for your ticket. God forbids, if you're considering to go first class, sometimes it's even 5 times 5
wow.
for the regular coach ticket. So in our case, we are not doubling the price by any means. What we are doing is actually it's around 20% extra. So whatever the quote and whatever the different procedure is, and patients will be able to talk to a coordinator about it, you're boosting your experience tremendously. And not only that, remember the overall care that you're getting for the amount of time that is being provided, extending that. So it is really, really worth it. And for only a fraction of the pricing. Just to give you, and I know that our team of coordinators will have this very clearly for our patients. If you were to buy the services, all that patients are going to receive over time, you remember that we were talking about, for instance, the ultrasounds and the additional visits and some of the injections. And if you can see the value, because if you add up all those services, you're paying less than 50% than if you would be paying those services a la carte or getting them one by one. And so from any standpoint that you see it, it's really advantageous. I mean, you get a better experience. You extend your amount of care. You extend that, like as you were saying, that insurance for like extending your revision policy. You from all different experiences, you don't have to worry about parking. You just come in and then you leave your car once you're able to drive. Of course, the first visit or second visit, patients require some assistance. But after that, then all your visits are going to be right dropping your car at the valet parking, and all that is included. And your visits for follow-up at a year is going to be included, and you don't have to pay anything. You don't, if you have an implant, your ultrasound is going to be included, and it's for a very, very low fraction of the real cost of individual if you're paying individually, and for only 20% additional.
Yeah. Now, how did the idea for the concierge package come about? And sort of what went into deciding what to include?
Well, I, I would say that it's something that we are seeing more and more frequently patients wanting to have like a boosted experience, patients to have asking for like an all-inclusive experience. As you know, fine dining. I mean, if you compare fine dining from 20 years ago, 30 years ago to current fine dining, it's a completely different experience. If you're talking about the airline industry, of course, you see that everybody likes to travel, everybody wants to look better, but for those patients that actually want to have that boosted experience, we were offering the best, but with certain limitations that I mean, it has to happen, right? I mean, you have a checkout time from a hotel at 11, but there are some people that they want to extend it up to like 4 p.m. And that is for that reason is that we know, and we are sure that we were doing our best, and that will continue to do our best. But for those patients that want more, we can even offer more. So that's how it came to our minds, and we all talked about it. The entire team, everybody's very excited about this, and we're ready to go to start offering these different options.
And I just to remind the audience, because I know about some of the surprises along the way. So when you come in for that first consultation with the surgeon, you're going to spend about an hour with the doctor and the nurse. And you might have some imaging, like we talked about the technology. Maybe there's some imaging involved in that consultation process. But then also allow time, because there's going to be some time that we need to sit down with you, with the coordinator, to present your quote or quotes. Sometimes you're like, what if I did this? Or if I did this and that? So we want to have time
Exactly.
for that, and for the coordinator to be able to walk you through what you get included with your quote, that signature experience, and time to walk through the concierge program for your specific procedure. So we're able to, go through that. So please allow enough time at that visit so that we can, help walk you through it. And I think, people might think, well, what surgery needs a concierge experience? What would you say, Dr. Salazar? Is it dependent on the type of surgery who might need this kind of package, or is it really open to anybody?
I would say totally open to anybody. I think anybody can have more comprehensive care for a longer time. One thing that I feel, Monique, is we were touching on pricing. As you know, some of our patients, I mean, over here at La Jolla Cosmetic, and we are well known for that, we're very transparent with money. We're very transparent with costs and everything. So patients are not going to have any surprises. But some people like to finance their surgeries. And
True. A
and
lot.
and
In fact, let me just interrupt, sorry, or
mhm,
add
no,
add a little piece. Financing, and
mhm,
we've looked over time, because we've offered financing since the mid 1990s to our patients. And over time, that number of patients, it's 1 in 3. It's about 33% of patients use some type of financing. And that's something that most people don't know. And we kind of looked at, we're like, wow, that's 1 in 3. So to your point, financing is something that people can do. And so can they finance this elevated experience?
absolutely. So if they're not financing their surgery, and they probably, let's say that they have some savings, and they say, okay, so here's for my surgery, can I finance this to add this elevated experience? They can finance that. Another way of seeing it at the same time is that if you are financing your entire surgery, for instance, then this is not adding that much to the big picture. So then when you break it down into your payments, then it doesn't represent a big change.
Yeah. Well, I think about, when you go get your car and they're like, well, you could have these wheels and these rims and these tires. And you're like, well, but then when they add it in and, put it out over however many months that they're financing, it's like, oh, okay, that was another $60. Do I
Hmm.
want that or do I
Hmm.
not? And how important is it to me? So I love that we're kind of touching on the care level. in terms of the length of time, because I think that's important to a lot of people, but then also sort of the luxurious part of, boosting the recovery or jumpstarting with the lymphatic drainage or the IV therapy, vitamins in recovery, and even having direct access to your surgeons, pretty luxurious. So I
No,
think that's
definitely.
nice.
I mean, you're seeing, Monique, this also, and I'm pretty sure your audience out there, when your primary care doctor, they are also offering concierge services, so you have direct access to your physician, and people pay thousands and thousands of dollars on top of their insurance to have direct access to their doctors. Over here is not going to be thousands and thousands of dollars to have direct access to your physician only. You'll see that with that amount extra that patients are investing, they're going to get a large return in terms of all the services, all the different visits, all the perks that they're going to be getting are tremendous. And now for our patients that are actually not very much interested in boosting that experience right off the bat, that they want to fly, give me your traditional signature experience, the way you've gotten all your stars, and that they want to continue their follow-ups beyond the point of those 6 months. Then they can do it as we were talking about it, a la carte. They can pay for the different elements and ingredients one at a time. If they need some injections, if they need some additional visits, or if they need to have a touch or a revision beyond that period of time, it's all doable. That's exactly who we are, and it's all doable. But it's also a good option for them not to opt out, and then just to, let's see, on a on needed basis, and they know that we're always here for them and our doors are always open.
Well, you've always emphasized, caring for your patients throughout the recovery process, not just before and, the day of. It's all,
Mhm.
that there's that time. And why is that such a key part of your approach?
I feel that we talked about this, I think, in a previous podcast, and remember that I feel the operation, the surgical part, even though we, all of us, and all the patients and everybody says that's the date, that's the most important moment, but and as a matter of fact, that's just one piece of the puzzle, and the before and the after. It's extremely important. It's as important as that hour or 2 hours or 4 hours that we're in the operating room, but molding those results, following up closely at different points in time becomes as crucial as your operation. And that's how patients get their final result. So that I feel that's why we are so close to our patients. And normally you see, it's like we see them the day after or the next day. Then we see them at a week, we see them at 3 weeks, 6 weeks, routinely 3 months, 6 months. And that is if everything's going adequately and perfectly well without any bump. And if God forbids there is a bump, then we see them even more frequently. So that's, I feel, our secret ingredient.
And that probably is the thing that sets us apart from other practices in San Diego, where, it's just that extra amount of care. Even if you're at the signature level, you've already got I was thinking about this the other day. It was like, it's like we're at the Ritz-Carlton or the Four Seasons, and, it's already this amazing experience, but
Mhm.
maybe you got the romance package for the weekend, and it's going to have champagne, and it's going to have chocolate covered strawberries, and maybe some other little spa treatment for you and your significant other. So it's sort of like, what if you want to do that? That's fun. And I think especially for surgery, I love the fact that we're pursuing this for patients who want that experience and who feel that, whether it's going to jumpstart their recovery, that they have the longer follow up time or the ultrasounds or all of it, or even if they add on a home visit by a nurse or a doctor. I think all of those things, being able to show that. It's like I was flying this last weekend to Las Vegas, and Southwest used to have one kind of ticket. Now they have like 4 or 5, and they put up a whole little chart, and they've got if you get this anytime, they'll want to get away anytime, this. I'm like, oh my God, I hadn't flown them in a long time. And it was like, oh, well, there's these choices. Well, if you want to be in before the A group, you get this, or we'll automatically check you in. And, it was like, oh, an extra $26 or, but you have, as the consumer, you get to choose what is that level of care, or what's that. Yeah, I still got from Vegas to San Diego and in one piece, and everything was great. But, I didn't have to stress about A, B, and C. So I think that's the kind of analogy for all of us to be thinking about. We're still going to you're going to have an amazing experience. You're going to have beautiful results, but it's just kind of about that journey and that elevated experience.
And when we were putting our minds together to create this new experience, Monique, how many times have we been voted best plastic surgery practice in San Diego and actually won multiple? We've won that award many, many times. So really when we were putting our heads together, it was how can we make best better, right? How can we make and how can we boost already the best plastic surgery practice experience? So that is actually using all of our history, all of our tradition, using our legacy of excellence, and how we can make it better. How can we provide our patients with even more things? And it's very well thought. There are multiple points where patients are going to truly feel that they are having a concierge experience. I'm very happy.
Let's talk about timing. So let's say somebody's listening to this podcast right now and they've got their surgery set up for December. Can they add this on now? Or let's say somebody turns down the experience, but then a few days before surgery, they're like, actually, I might think I want to do that. How does the timing work?
So in terms of timing, what we want for us to be able to have everything ready, right, for those patients at the right moment and to fulfill their expectations, we want to know at least 3 days before their surgery that they are opting in for that concierge experience. So if they're having surgery in December and as we are launching our program, they want to become part of that experience, they can opt in. The only thing they need to do is talk to their coordinator. They can go over the benefits that they could potentially get if they opt in for it, and then they'll sign up, and that's it. So yes, patients can opt in even if they have their surgery already scheduled. And then the last part is if they initially, as you were saying, they don't think that they want to add it, but then they change their mind, as long as it's for about like 3 days before their surgery, contact the coordinators and say, you know what, let's boost it. Let me have that even better option, and then they can accommodate for them.
Well, thanks, Dr. Salazar. I think this was a good little overview, and I don't think we spoiled too many surprises, but I think you really touched on almost all the key points. Some things are going to change slightly depending on what kind of surgery you're having, but we'll go through that with you at the consultation. But again, to anybody out there, if you have questions about it, about financing, about you want to see some before and afters, they're all on our website, but you'll see even more when you come in for your consultation. And, we'll go through that with you, that what your normal experience, your signature experience would be, and what that concierge experience would be, and what that would cost when you add it on. For the audience, thanks for listening today. Please like us, subscribe, put comments in. And if you're listening or watching on YouTube, add a question. If you have a question, we'll answer them. So anything else you need, just contact us, and we will see you all on the next one. Thanks.
Thanks so much for your invitation.
Take a screenshot of this podcast episode with your phone and show it at your consultation or appointment, or mention the promo code PODCAST to receive $25 off any service or product of $50 or more at La Jolla Cosmetic. La Jolla Cosmetic is located just off the I-5 San Diego Freeway in the Zymed building on the Scripps Memorial Hospital campus. To learn more, go to LJCSC.com or follow the team on Instagram at LJCSC. The La Jolla Cosmetic Podcast is a production of The Axis, TheAxis.io.